Welcome back. It's funny, isn't it? When you start thinking about people and how so many different people, as we talked at the beginning of the show, like to work with. Some people like to work with fun people. Some people like to work with serious people. It's kind of across the board. Well, we have one of what I think is one of our most fun guests here with us. Lisa Hampton, lead buyer specialist with Home Helper Consultants. And, hello, Lisa.
I feel like I have to be fun now.
You are
fun.
Thanks, Heather and Ben.
Yeah, we think so. And, we're the voice of the show, so.
Absolutely.
But we say goes.
We say go. Say something funny. No. Lisa, so let's talk. So, we talked at the beginning of the show about buying, house buying, buying a home. And, really when you start looking at purchasing a home, you really have to kind of look within first, because there is an entire array of everything from a, waterfront home in Medina for $20 million to a small condo, out in the woods somewhere for $20,000. I mean, there's an entire array of what people can buy.
There is. And we get a lot of phone calls and people just say, I'm ready to buy a house. My husband and I have been talking and it's our first house and we're ready to buy. Can you find us one? But they don't really know what they want. They may want 2 bedrooms, they may want 3, and there's so much more to it than just that. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the things we talk about, and I've talked about buyer consultations over and over again on the show, but it's so important to know who's on your team and having someone that's helping you through the process. Anybody can go online and say, I want a 3-bedroom house in the Woodridge neighborhood for $500,000, show me what's there. Mm-hmm. But it's not necessarily what you actually are going to want. We sit down in our buyer consultations, and Keller Williams, who I work for, they go the 7 levels. And it's basically like, I want 3 bedrooms. Okay, why do you want 3 bedrooms? And everybody wants an office. That 3rd bedroom, I will just tell you right now, everybody has to have an office. And so it may not
close the door when the kids get loud.
Always.
Everybody's working from home these days, too.
A lot of people.
Working,
and I don't know how.
i.e. playing on Facebook.
Well, how do you work from home? I have laundry that has to be done.
A ton of virtual systems. You'd be amazed.
I know. Well, I get too sidetracked. I have to be focused. But so, no,
what were
I'm
we
off
talking
track.
About?
Keller Williams, 7 steps. Why do you want 3 bedrooms?
That's exactly what I was talking about.
See, you are funny.
So you could, I'm trying, Ben, I'm trying. But you could get a 2-bedroom with a den. And having someone to help you realize that is so important. Because you don't necessarily, you know what you want, but you don't necessarily know.
Or why.
And that's the big reason is, why is that important? Why do you need an office? And maybe it's just you need a desk in the living room or something. So it's not necessarily as important. The other thing is, everybody wants a deal. Everybody wants a short sale or a bank loan, and we get more phone calls that we want a deal. We want to get a good deal. We're going to get a short sale at 40% off list price, like you were saying earlier. And that's not necessarily going to be the best price for you or the best purchase for you. Because if you have to move within 2 months, short sale may close, it may not. You may still be waiting for 6 months. So it's probably not going to be the best thing for you. Something else to keep in mind with short sales and bank-owned properties, they're sold as is. Yeah. So if there's a major problem with it, that's your responsibility as the buyer. And so a lot of buyers, there's a ton of FHA out there right now, and you guys see that too. But with FHA, they're putting 3.5% down because it's all they have. And so if they're buying a short sale and it's FHA, first of all, they may not even qualify because of the condition of the house, but they don't have the extra money to put into it.
But isn't that one of the problems, as you said at the very beginning, somebody called, I just want to buy a house.
Yes.
And, the steps, you talked about the team and going through that process, and of course everybody just wants to buy a house. You look online, you see all like, oh, I could totally live there, and there's little Johnny's room, and there's a backyard, and we don't have one right now. But there's so much more than the sexiness of the property.
Right. Well, and everybody goes on too, and I'll ask people what they think they can afford, and they'll say, well, $350,000, because I went on bankrate.com or whatever it is that had a calculator and plugged everything in, and I'm like, time out. Before we'll even show somebody a house, we need to know that they're pre-approved. Yeah. Because they may think they're pre-approved for $350,000 because that's what some online calculators said, but there's so much more that goes into it.
Just a little, the funny part is the online calculator. Literally, it's like, so how much do you make? And so you could afford this. It takes nothing else into consideration.
I did it the other day. I can afford a $1.2 million house.
Damn.
As a single parent. So congratulations to me.
Congratulations. Yeah, waterfront parties. Here we come, Lisa.
I think I better do a little more research.
No, just get it. I'll come over, I swear.
Get it.
So when you start thinking about how do you get people over that first hump? You know, I mean, because of course I just want to buy a house. Of course.
Right.
I mean, that makes sense. It's exciting, especially for people with their first home.
Well, the most important thing is to sit down and have that conversation with them and to really go over what are you looking for in a home? What are your goals? What are your needs? Because there are certain things that are non-negotiable. There's certain things that are. You know, if they want a yard for Johnny, they're going to want a yard for Johnny, but the size of it may be different. And I actually am like a vulture. Dave told me he had more listings coming on. I'm like, what are they? Where are they? But we were talking about yard size. And you may just want a smaller yard for Johnny instead of something that's going to take you 2 hours to mow. But sitting down and talking with somebody who knows what they're talking about is going to help get you through those hurdles.
And 100 houses online. And it really does come down to this kind of narrowing down. You talked a little bit about, goal setting. Mm-hmm. And the goal setting maybe doesn't lie. You talked again about those 7 steps, but it doesn't really lie in well, I want 3 bedrooms. That's not really the goal.
Right. And that's what we talked about is just why do you want that? Because your goal is to have a bedroom for you, a bedroom for your kid, and an office. Or your goal is to have a bedroom for you, a bedroom for your child, and maybe in the future you'll have another one. Which is a whole nother conversation is, okay, are you going to be in this house for 15 years or 20 years, or are you going to be here for 5? Because maybe you don't need 3 bedrooms right now, and in 5 years you can move up. So that's another, what is your goal? How long do you want to be here?
I mean, they're huge transactions, and you can't just kind of ebb in and out of them and just assume everything's going to be okay. Like you could,
right.
10 years ago, it wouldn't matter. We'll live here for 2 years. We'll make $100,000, and then we'll get a bigger house.
Which sounds so wonderful. It's a huge purchase, and you can't take it lightly. And I think a lot of people out there, when they're looking for agents, are looking for, okay, well, who's going to work for less for me so I can get an extra $1,500 back at close? Well, time out. Are they going to work more for you? Or are they just going to show you a house, open a door for you, and write up a contract, and good luck, you deal with the rest of it?
Well, the other piece to that, is are they going to work more for you, or are they going to be better at working for you? Because working more doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing the right things. I mean, there's this great piece that was out of this book, Rework. And I don't know if you read it, but it talks about this workaholism, and people just literally they'll work, I'm burning the midnight oil, and that's like this big thing, right? And a lot of real estate agents like, I work from 6 a.m. to midnight every day, and it's hair on fire. But isn't that partly because maybe they just don't have it dialed in well enough to go, look, I can present you with the options that you need to know. It doesn't seem like it needs to be an 18-hour-a-day job.
Well, for realtors, I think there's so much that goes into it, and that's one of the reasons our team specializes, and we just work with buyers. I admire and respect agents who can work with both buyers and sellers successfully, because there's so much that goes into each side of the transaction that if you're trying to do both, you're working 18-hour days, and then something will come up with one of your sellers. So all of a sudden, you're sidetracked to that. Something will come up with one of your buyers, you're sidetracked to that. And we've already talked about how I get sidetracked, so that's not an efficient way for me to live at all. But multitasking used to be the big thing. That was everybody's resume. I was like, I'm a great multitasker. Well, multitasking, you don't get anything done. You work 18-hour days, and what have you gotten done at the end of it? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely nothing.
Lots of emails.
Yes.
Well, Lisa, we just have about a minute left before we have to go to break. Lisa Hampton joins us from Home Helper Consultants. Lisa, so you talk about this, the process, going through the mortgage, getting pre-approved. At what point in time do you think it's effective to start showing people houses?
We really we'll show somebody one house just to get a feel for what they're looking for. But really what we want to do to make it the best experience for everybody, we want to know that they're pre-approved. So they also don't go into a house and get their heart broken because they can't buy it. Second thing, we've got to sit down with them to figure out what they're looking for. And then we're going to go out and show you the houses you want that are going to fit what you want to buy instead of just going and looking at houses. If that's something you want to do.
Especially on a day like today, right? I mean, people don't want to just go, maybe they just want to hang out with you because you're fun.
They might, because I am fun.
Right.
We've established this today.
Yeah, can't go with Lisa today. Go check out some houses.
Which is fun, by the way.
I'm sure it is, Lisa. Thank you so much for joining us. We have to go to break. Again, Lisa Hampton, lead buyer specialist with Home Helper Consultants. When we come back, we just talked about buying houses, selling houses. And part of those, what goes into that is making that house really appealing. When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do to get your home rental or market ready. We'll be right back.